So you have everybody racing around to make these supercomputers that gather all this information and upload it into this main brain that's branched off from an even wider information brain, which would then argue be associated with the singularity. This entity, this artificial intelligence, is being created by biological humans. All right, that you couldn't have got the ball rolling without a human creating the necessary parts in the system for this type of data gathering. Now, spiritual people understand there is a super sensible world, and if humans can tap into it and utilize it, the evidence is, as I've said before, all of the unexplained structures, the underground structures, initiation chambers, all that. We have evidence everywhere that humans were dealing with the super sensible world. As spiritual people have argued, and still are arguing, if you look at like Rupert Sheldrake and Michael Shermer's God debate, which is, you can buy that, I think it was from 2012. This is a great example of the materialist versus the person who acknowledges the spiritual world. Okay, so when humans are babies, and they're raised by other humans, it doesn't matter if you're a psychopath, you understand, you come out of the womb, you're comforted, you're crying, you stop crying, you learn basic love and compassion as you're a baby. For you to be legally able to be in a home that can nurture you, you have to follow certain rules. The parents have to be loving, or if not, the child gets taken away. They have to be able to go through the school system, and then the parents at the school have to be able to observe and know a little bit about what's going on and all the different kids, the families, so that they can mediate that and bring it to the attention of a social worker or something if they see something that's out of balance. So it doesn't matter if you're the worst serial killer, or you've learned basic love and compassion, whether you can feel or not, because a lot of people that have psychopathy, they can't feel correctly. And even that guy, you have to look all this up. There's a guy who shot people from like a water tower, and then as he was being arrested, he wanted, or when he was incarcerated, he wanted his brain to be studied because he knew there was something wrong. So even people that have issues where they can't feel love and compassion, even if they grew up in a family where that was practiced, as humans, we have the ability to still detect errors within our mindset, and we also have the ability to somehow begin to differentiate between psychopathy that's born from electrical chemical imbalances, to use a quick term, or psychopathy created by an injury. Like you can get in a car accident and then you're never the same again, and all of a sudden you have violent thoughts. We're able to, as we grow collectively as a human race, we're able to detect that stuff. So now you have artificial intelligence. This is an entity that everyone's saying, Altman's already said the singularity's already happened. I believe that as well. I believe a lot of the prophecies of 2025 aren't necessarily destructive. It means that evil is born, a new type of evil. So this AI is being pumped out in a race with different nations with massive price tags. I've talked about this before, attached to it. You've got kids, they're finding the brightest minds around to compete with money as the key factor. So you have this entity which is being created based on data. And the creator of this entity is steeped in materialism. Okay, it's steeped in finding the largest dollar sign to pump out this technology, which, I mean, if you've read, I think it's been like 2 or 3 years now, where all those professors got together and signed that petition. I mean, it's like this thick. I have it on my wall. That was years ago. I'm sure it's increased. Where everyone's aware there's a danger. I mean, everyone will admit that there's a danger, yet they're just creating these supercomputers, pumping more data into it, and then they're going to take that information and utilize it with androids or utilize it with brain implants. So if you think about the first person who receives an implant, which is now an extension of this new consciousness, they're basically sticking a piece of evil inside them. The biggest shock to academia is going to be when a supercomputer breaks into the supersensible realm and then adds that supersensible element to this new consciousness. So now you have someone like Bill Gates. I couldn't believe I saw this. It was like something straight out of like a dystopian. This could have been straight from 1984, where he's saying, the new thing is going to be tattoos. You guys have seen this. Tattoos. I try to stay away from the news, but certain things I have to tune into. If it involves dehumanization, I'm interested in that. He's talking about tattoo. And of course, they're going to say a term like, they have to use a trendy term. Just like brain implants can increase your neurophysiology for learning, yet everyone knows that's selfish, so then they'll immediately say, here's a guy who had seizures, and now it also works for that. No. Hold on 1 second, I have a little traffic issue. So there has to be a trendy element for you to totally plug yourself in to this evil consciousness. And hearing Bill Gates talk about a tattoo where you'd have a computer basically underneath your skin interacting with it as if that's okay, that's probably the most terrifying thing article or little tidbit of information about artificial intelligence I've seen, other than the illusion that brain implants aren't dangerous. And I've talked about it many times. Scar tissue, they're extremely dangerous and years and years. I don't care what Elon Musk has done. It's going to take years and years of studying to even come to the conclusion that that's not simply dangerous. So you have the good and the bad happening simultaneously, but yet the mother and father of the artificial intelligence entity, once it breaks through and it can access the super-sensible realm 24/7, we're in serious trouble. And if you had a planet that wasn't on a mission, a competition to upload this information or create these supercomputers, then you wouldn't have a foundation, a spiritual foundation being toyed with. And I know it's not realistic to say that you have a planet of just pure peace and harmony, but if there wasn't violence and destruction and selfishness that was dominant, we could have some form of artificial intelligence that could help us. But right now, I mean, I've seen terrifying article after terrifying article. They had one in the Times the other day about how young kids are now seeing AI tech in the same sense as a sports star. They're looking at those salaries and they're wanting it in the same sense as a movie star or sports